That's why I do ask my daughter and son.
This is working.
They just said that it was kind of. Oh, you gotta play around with yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Michelle Rogers. I'm a content editor at the Record Searchlight, and I helped launch the 530 Media Project, which you're participating in tonight, last February through my position at the Record Searchlight. And what we did, the Record Searchlight wanted to do some community outreach, so we polled our audience and we asked them, what sort of free workshops would you be interested in? And they came up with a number of workshops on social media, smartphone navigation, Google Drive, and a lot of others. And that's how the 530 Media Project was formed. So tonight I have Sean Longoria here from the Record Searchlight. He's a senior content...
Close enough.
Okay, senior content producer. And we have Amber Sandhu, and she's a multimedia journalist. They're both going to be co-presenting. I am live streaming this, so people at home who couldn't make it can watch it, and I'll be moderating a live chat in case there are questions from people at home who are on their computers watching. So, and at the very end, we're going to break up in groups, those who have iPhones and those who have Androids, and then we can work with you one-on-one and answer your questions. So, and today we're hosted at Pacific Sky, which is part of West Coast Innovations. And they are partnering with us to bring the 530 Media Project to you. They provide this classroom space, and they're a full-fledged marketing firm if you ever need any marketing assistance. So thank you for coming. There's water behind you if you would like some, and the bathrooms are also behind you. So, okay, thank you.
Hello everyone. As Michelle said, I'm Sean Longoria. I'm a senior multimedia journalist at the Record Searchlight.
Are you related to Evas?
I am not. However, people spell and pronounce it correctly now. So
Yeah, true.
Good thing. Good thing. So we're here to talk about smartphones. Obviously, everyone here probably has a smartphone. That's why you're here. So let's dive in. So what's the deal with smartphones? What are they? What do they do? They're small, portable computers combined into a single device. Maybe, but maybe not. It's less powerful than the computer you have at home. They do similar things, but your smartphone actually does a lot more. So nearly 2/3 of Americans use smartphones, and that's almost double the number who used them just 5 years ago. So lots and lots of people have smartphones. You have smartphones again, that's why you're here. So what can they do? That's what you're here to find out, right? Many, many things. 5, 10 years ago, you would need a backpack or two full of stuff just to replicate what your smartphone can do. So you can do phone calls, text messages, you can browse the internet, you can do social media, your Facebook, your Twitter, all the other social media things that are out there. You've got a camera, likely you have a pretty good camera. Smartphone cameras are getting better and better, so you can capture photos, videos, you can look at them again. Your smartphones likely have pretty nice screens by this point. You can play music, you can play podcasts, you can even listen to the radio. You've got GPS on your phone, you've got voice recording. Some of your phones have a compass, so they do lots of things. I barely scratched the surface, but they're pretty full-featured. So most of you here probably have an iPhone or an Android. Those are kind of the two big popular smartphones. There are a bunch others. Most people probably don't have them because some of these operating systems are specific to countries. So mostly when we talk about smartphones here, we talk about iPhones and Android phones. You might see a Windows phone out in the wild. You might see it at the cell phone store mostly because people aren't buying them very much. A few years ago, you saw more Blackberries. and the others you probably won't see very much. But these are just some of the kinds of smartphones. So let's first talk about iPhones. We'll talk about Androids right after that. It's the smartphone that's made by Apple, the same people who make the iPad, who made the iPod, make your Mac computers. Runs iOS software, which is just the software that Apple makes for the phone, and it's the most popular single smartphone you'll find. What's good about them? Most of the apps that are made for iOS will work on any generation of iPhone. So if you've got an older iPhone or a brand new one, most of your apps will probably work on either. New users, new smartphone owners typically find the interface a little bit simpler and easier to use than other kinds of phones. And the cameras are really good. In the news business, we use iPhones quite a bit to shoot video, to shoot photos from the field. The cameras are always good and always give you consistent photos. Some of the cons? They're expensive. They're fragile. One of the things you see quite often on the internet or social media, people have a picture of their broken iPhone screen. And they still have to use it because, again, they're expensive phones. And there's something called platform lock-in. What that means is when you get an iPhone, you're mostly stuck with what Apple wants you to use. So it's hard to buy music from Amazon.com on an iPhone. They want you to use iTunes. That's just one example. Now let's talk a bit about Android. Android is less a type of phone than it is the operating system that runs on your phone. Smartphone software that's made by Google, Google contributes to it. There's a long-winded technical explanation that I won't bore you with now. But it runs on quite a number of phones. Some of you here with an Android might have a Samsung, you might have an HTC, you might have a Motorola, you might have an LG, you might have something different. Android powers something north of 80% of smart devices worldwide, so it is the most popular operating system. It's most popular because anyone can pretty much get a copy of Android software for free and put it on anything. If you want your Google apps, your Gmail, your search, any of the apps made by Google, that costs a little more. Again, long, boring technical explanation that I won't bore you with. Some of the pros of Android, they're generally cheaper on contract, though most carriers did away with contracts, but they're generally cheaper phones. You've got more size options. You can go up to about 6-inch screens on a phone, which is huge. It's bigger than this phone I carry in my pocket, which is already pretty sizable. Or you can go down to, I think they still make phones with 3-inch screens. Android tends to get a lot of features first, things like 3D cameras, 3D displays, faster processors, styluses. Some of you might have a phone with a stylus.
That'd be nice.
Those tend to come to Android before they come to other types of devices. Some of the cons, software support can be iffy. You don't buy your phone directly from Google, you might not get a software update, a timely software update anyway. App availability, this has become less of an issue in recent years, but because anyone can take a copy of Android and put it on any phone, developers spend more time making their apps to work across all those phones. So it's simpler to go to the iPhone, which only has one software version to worry about, and make your app for that. Accessories can be hard to find. That's your cases, that's your screen protectors. Lots more people make more things for the iPhone than Android. And this can be a con, whether, depending on how you look at it. When a phone maker gets a copy of Android, they might do some stuff to the software to make the phone look and function a little bit different than another Android phone. So that means your Samsungs are going to look and feel a little different from your HTCs, are going to look and feel a little different from your Motorola's, are going to look and feel a little different than your LGs. So here's some general advice for any smartphone owner. iPhone, Android, whatever you have. If you're using the camera, turn the flash off for better photos.
Really?
Really?
How do you flash?
We'll get to that.
Good.
We'll get to that.
Good.
So flash basically ruins natural light in any photos. That's going to wash out skin tones. That's going to distort colors. Depending on the lighting environments, it's going to make your photos not look great. Be kind and courteous, and unless you can absolutely avoid it, silence your phone in public. We've all probably been somewhere where we've heard someone's phone go off and it's some ridiculous pop song that they've downloaded. And everyone's looking around the room or wherever you happen to be. Whose phone is that? Please shut it off, it's annoying. So, if you can, silence your phone in public. Every phone you have will vibrate if you need to. So some tips to save your battery, and again, we'll go over specifically how to do most of these things when we break off into groups. Close your open apps, apps that are left open. They will continue to run and use up your battery, use up your data. Turn off background refresh. That just means apps can do things when you're not using them. That kills your battery. Don't let too many apps send notifications. These are like your news alerts, your text message alerts, your email alerts. Don't go crazy. Don't let every app you have send you a notification when somebody posts a cute photo on Facebook or something like that. Minimize location polls. What this means, some of the apps you download have access to your GPS. They might need to locate you, like a mapping app, or a taxi app, or like a Yellow Pages app. Don't go crazy with those either. The more they pull your location, the more battery they eat up. And again, we'll cover how to do that a little later. So if you have a smartphone, you probably have a smartphone plan, and included in that is probably some limits on how much data you can use. Usually it's per gigabytes. Some options are 1, 3, depending on what your cell phone plan is. So if you want to make sure you don't go over that every month, don't stream too much video or music. Don't spend all your time on YouTube or Pandora when you're not at home on Wi-Fi. Keep your screen timeout as low as possible. What that means is your screen will auto turn off after a set amount of time. Figure out what you can live with that time being and set it to that. Turn off auto update for your apps and auto download for any music or movies you might buy on your phone. Again, we'll cover specifically how to do that, but what that means is if there's a brand new version of an app you have downloaded, make sure your settings are such that it won't auto download, you have to go find it. Keep a charger in your car. This is important, especially if you drive a lot and you're not anywhere where you can charge your phone and plug it in. I drive quite a bit, so charger in my car. Phone always has a pretty full battery whenever I need it. Finding apps. How do you know which apps to download? How do you know which apps you might be interested in? We'll cover how to do this because it's a little different depending on if you have an iPhone or Android, but both app stores for both types of phones have top charts. Those are the apps that everyone is downloading all the time, and they'll kind of tell you which apps are popular. Few more tips. If you take a lot of photos, or just generally if you're taking any photos, there are apps you can download that will back up all your photos, save a copy of your photos in a cloud service. Some popular options, Google Photos, Dropbox, Amazon Photos. If you have an iPhone, you have iCloud. In some cases you have to pay for that. But there are free options that will let you back up your photos so you get an extra copy of them in addition to what's on your phone. And those apps are available on both Android and iPhone, and on both platforms they have the auto backup of all your photos.
Could I ask what the advantage is to having a backup if you routinely back your phone up to your computer?
If you you routinely back up your photos to your computer, you're less likely to need this, but it's just one extra copy in case you need it.
It takes up a lot of room though, doesn't it?
It doesn't take up any room on your phone if you back them up separately and then remove them. They save to cloud storage and then you can go access that. So that's just another location that's not necessarily on your phone. It's hosted somewhere else.
Can you, if you back it up, say, your iPhone photos to Google, and then you delete photos here, does it automatically delete them in Google, or do you have to work? Once they're there, does Google function separately with your photos than your iPhone, or whatever smartphone you have?
So particularly for Google Photos, I can answer this question. To delete them from both, you have to go into the Google Photos app, but if you delete them from the regular Photos app, and they're two separate apps, they will not delete from Google's cloud. All right, so moving past photo backups, you also really want to use a Find My Phone app. This is called Find My Phone on the iPhone. It's also called Android Device Manager on Android. There's a link in the presentation on how to get that on your phone and how to use it. Now what it'll do, you sign in to, say you lose your phone, you sign into iCloud for your iPhone or the Android Device Manager for your Android. It will pull the location of your phone and give you a handy little map of where it is. You can even change the passcode on your phone, make loud sounds in case you think your phone is stolen or somewhere it shouldn't be. Or you can even delete everything off your phone if you've got some sensitive data on there.
I have something to add to that. I needed to use that one time. I couldn't find my phone, but then I realized I turned my phone off, so I wasn't able to find my phone because it was turned off. So.
That is the caveat, your phone actually has to be on for this to work. In some cases, it will send you the last known location, but generally speaking, if you're pretty sure your phone's on and you lost it or somebody took it, use one of these.
Is that like is it a charge for that? Like
No.
an app?
Absolutely free.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely free. So if you need to get work done on your phone, it's not the best place to like write a Word document or edit a spreadsheet, but you can do that. Google Drive is free. You get lots of storage there. Michelle teaches a class on how to use Google Drive. Download that and you can work on your smartphone. So we've been throwing a lot of terms out there. I just want to take just a minute to explain what they are. Apps, short for applications, those are just little programs you can download that are built for your smartphone. An app store is where you find those. It's a generic term, but it's the proper noun for iPhones. So if you want an app for your iPhone, you're going to the App Store. It's called Google Play on Android phones. Lock screen is important. If you have it set, it prompts for a passcode or a PIN, or some phones have you trace a little pattern to unlock your phone. You generally want to set a lock just in case your phone happens to be out of your possession. No one can access it. Newer iPhones have a little fingerprint scanner, so you can scan your fingerprint or thumbprint and unlock your phone that way, so you don't have to remember a code or a PIN or anything like that. Home screen, we'll probably be talking more about home screens when we get into the group sessions, but home screen is basically the main screen you see on your phone after unlocking, turning the phone on, or hitting the home button from within an app. Apps you probably want to download, and you can just find these by going to your app store and searching for them. If you're on social media, the big ones, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, photo and video, two of the popular services for the photo backup we talked about earlier, if that's something you want to do. Google Photos and Dropbox. Work, Google Drive is a great app for that. Entertainment, if you want to watch videos, you can get a YouTube app. If you want to listen to music, you can do Pandora or Spotify. The last two, Pandora and Spotify, have subscriptions, but you can use them for free on your phone.
Really?
Yes. You do hear ads occasionally, but you can use them for your phone. Use them for free, excuse me. News, download the Record Searchlight app.
Yep, I have that. It's there.
I'll keep the shameless plugs to a minimum. Flipboard, that's a news reader that pulls in lots of different sources. Functions kind of like a magazine. You get like a little flip interface where you flip from story to story. There's lots of news readers out there that will pull in from lots of sources. And most of the outlets you probably follow, CNN, New York Times, any of the big outlets, they probably have an app. Alright, so we're going to dive in a little deeper on iPhones. We'll do it again on Android, so if you're on Android, bear with me, I'll get to you. So this is kind of the layout of the most recent iPhone. They're all pretty similar. The buttons might be in a little different spots if you have an older iPhone. But up towards the top, you've got your receiver, your front microphone, that's where you listen to calls. A FaceTime camera, that's the front-facing camera. On the left side, that's a switch to make your phone go immediately silent. And below that are your volume buttons, which you'd use to control the volume of the ringer or the volume of any music or video you might be watching.
You can also take pictures with them.
Yep, you certainly can. You can see the app icons right here. My laser pointer isn't working, otherwise I'd do that. Those are just the little shortcuts right into your app. Multi-touch display, that means that's just the screen. Every smartphone has a multi-touch display. That means you can touch it with more than one finger at a time, and the display will recognize that you're doing that. Headset jack, probably along the bottom. You have a bottom microphone, that's what picks up your voice when you're on a call. Lightning connector, that's where you plug in your phone. Speaker. Home button, if you have a newer iPhone, I want to say 2013, 2014 or newer, that would be a 5S or newer. Your home button is also your Touch ID. That's the thing that unlocks your phone with your fingerprints. SIM card tray, you probably never need to use that. Your sleep and wake button, that turns your phone screen on or off. And on the back there, you've got your other camera, a rear microphone, and your flash. There's a video linked in the presentation, and you can find the presentation on Reading.com. You just have to go to the blog section, which is under opinion. And then on the list of blogs, I have one on there. You could read it if you'd like. But scroll down towards the bottom of the list, you'll find the 530 Media Project blog. And then you can find this presentation from there. So there's a video link there. Find the presentation. We won't watch it now because it's kind of longer, but it will take you on a deep dive of how to use the most recent iPhone.
Cool.
But it should also be applicable if you have an older iPhone too, because they're very similar.
That was Reading.com.
Where's the blog section located?
It's under opinion, so across the top of Reading.com, there's a
Okay,
navigation
opinions,
bar.
okay.
Yeah, hover over that, you'll find blogs, or you can go to blogs.reading.com, and then you'll get the list there. So we can go over most of this when we're doing group work, but the basic apps you have on your iPhone are the phone app, use it to make calls. Contacts, that's where you find all the people you want to call, text, email, all that kind of stuff. Messages, those are text messages. Safari is your main web browser. You've got an email app, music, your settings, maps, notes, reminders, your app store, camera and photos. These are the apps that come on your iPhone when it's fresh out of the box, when you haven't downloaded anything. And there's more on that list too. So if you've got an app you've downloaded and you want to get rid of it, you press and hold it until it starts to jiggle. Then there will be a little X above your jiggling app. Touch that X, the app is gone. They'll probably ask you if you want to delete the app first. You want to make a folder of apps, that's this little guy right here. So you just have a little folder on your home screen. The benefits of doing this is you can group common apps together. You touch the folder, it shows you all the apps in the folder, and you can pick from there. I like to keep my iPhone down to one screen so I don't have to swipe through a whole bunch of screens to find what I'm looking for. Or if you download an app and can't find it, chances are it's downloaded to a new page on your phone, which I can show you again when we're working in groups. All you have to do is swipe over to the new page. You get a little indicator at the bottom of your screen here that tells you how many pages you have. You can change the apps that live down here. And those will be visible regardless of which app page you're on. That's called your dock. This is actually a screenshot from my phone. So I keep the phone, messages, web, and music there. There's a search feature, and how you access that is you pull down on the screen anywhere but the very top. And it should pop up a little search bar. Or if your phone is updated, swipe to the right. That means start at the left side of the screen and swipe over. And you'll get a search option. That will let you search the web, search what's on your phone. It's called Spotlight Search. It searches just about everything your phone has access to. If you want to take a screenshot, what you do is hold the power button and the home button until the screen flashes white. You have to press them at the same time, but it'll be pretty obvious that you've taken a screenshot.
What does that mean?
That means you capture a picture of whatever is currently on your screen. Like this. This was just me with my phone on logs. I just decided, hey, it'd be a good picture to include in the presentation. So I held the home button, power button, got a picture of that, emailed it to myself, popped it in the presentation. iMessage is a service only for iPhones, but it lets you send free and unlimited messages between iPhones.
Oh, I don't have that.
So if your messages currently to other iPhone users are blue bubbles, that means you have iMessage turned on. If they're green bubbles, they're just normal text messages. The best reason to use this is your cell phone doesn't have service, but you're on Wi-Fi. The message will transmit over Wi-Fi, or if you've got a cell phone plan that has a limited number of messages per month.
Do you change that in setting?
Yes. So some common problems you might run into on your iPhone. Your phone is slow after opening apps. To close apps, you can double click on your home button and swipe your apps up to close. It'll give you a list. I believe since a recent software update, they're more of a stack right now rather than this scrolling list. But if you swipe them up, that closes the app, that stops it from running. Should speed up your phone a little bit. Another solution you can try, reset your phone, hold the power button. That's the button on the left side of your, the right side of your phone if you're looking at it. Then you'll get a little prompt across the top of the screen that says swipe this to power off. So you can turn off your phone that way, start your phone again, and it should be a little faster. Similarly, if your phone is unresponsive, meaning you can't do anything with it at all, you can't double click the home button, nothing happens when you hold the power button. You can hold the power button and the home button at the same time, longer than you would if you were taking a screenshot, and the phone will reset itself.
They don't tell you that at the phone store.
They do not tell you that at the phone store. That's why you're here though, right? So another problem you might run into, which a lot of people have been complaining about since a recent software update to the iPhone, is your phone is just using too much data. You've spilled over what you're allowed to use per month and you have to pay extra. And boy, do cell phone companies love to tack on those extra fees. So there's a feature on the iPhone called Wi-Fi Assist. What that means is if you're connected to a wireless network, but the network, it has very poor signal, your phone will use its data connections to boost that. Which is good if you're not worried about going over your cell phone plan, but it's really bad if you've got a limited set of data. Because you can go over it pretty easy without even realizing it. So you can turn that off by going to your settings app, the cellular option, scrolling to the very bottom of that page, and there'll be a little slider for Wi-Fi assist. You can just turn that off. There's a link here at the bottom, the text that says more. Those would be more problems you might run into. I suggest you dive into that when you're looking at the presentation on your own. All right, so we're going to switch over to Android now. If you've got specific questions about your iPhone, save them for when we're doing our group work. So, got a little disclaimer at the top. Because of the nature of Android and how many different phones use the software, it's difficult to give a single set of instructions because all the phones don't look the same, they don't all act the same. But we'll do our best here. Best advice I can give you if you've got an Android phone and are completely lost, go on your home computer, go to Google search, type in how to use, and then put in the name of your phone. Chances are you'll find an instructional video. There's a whole industry built around teaching people how to use their phones. And I've put some links in this presentation for some of the most popular recent phones. So you can navigate to one of those links if you see your phone on that list and find that video. So the apps that probably come on your Android phone, Google Play, that's your app store. But that's also where you can find music, movies, books, games, lots of things. You have a camera app, it looks and functions differently depending on which phone you have. You've got an email app that's similar to the camera app. It will look and function differently based on the phone you have. You've got a text message app. Google puts all of their, not all of them, but quite a few of their own apps on your phone fresh out of the box. That would be Maps, Music, Books. You can download a calendar app that's separate from the one that's on your phone, and of course, Gmail. And depending on your phone, you might have a built-in calendar app and a built-in music app. So, one of the biggest differences between Androids and iPhones is sometimes by default, all of the apps you have won't just appear on your home screen. But they all live in a separate place called the app drawer. Depending on which phone you have, what the app drawer actually looks like will be different. So I've included some icons here for what they look like. This is a screenshot from a Samsung phone. Usually the option will be apps, and it will have some sort of icon here that looks like a grid layout. It might be a circle with a little grid in it. It'll be very different depending on the type of phone you have. So if you're in the app drawer and you find an app you want to put on one of your home screens, all you have to do is press and hold, and the app will appear over your home screens, and you can navigate to which one you want and just drop it on the one you want. Android also makes extensive use of widgets. Those are this search bar right here and this little guy that shows the time and the weather and has a pretty picture behind it. Those give you some information without diving into the full app. So the examples again, the search bar, the weather, you could have a clock, a music player that will give you some basic controls. Depending on the phone, you can find those. If you go into your app drawer, there should be an option along the top that lets you pick widgets, and you can find which ones you have and which one you can put on your home screen. So similarly to iPhone, if you want to get rid of an app that's on your phone, your Android phone. You have to press and hold it. Then you should see an option to drag it up to maybe the top of your screen, maybe the bottom. It's different for every phone. But there should be a little trash can or a little X that says delete or uninstall. You can get rid of it that way. Android phones also use on-screen buttons. You may have this or you may not. They may look like this or they may not. This might look like a little house. This might look like a little back arrow. This might look like two boxes stacked on top of each other. Sometimes these are physical buttons, but in some of the newer phones, they're actually on the screens themselves. And what they are is back, go back wherever you were. If it's in an app, go back to a menu, or exit out of the app completely. Home, that will take you to your home screen, or your app switcher. That will take you to a list of your open apps, and you can swipe to close or touch an app to go back into it. If you have a Samsung phone, these are probably physical buttons below your screen. I'm not sure which other phones do that. Something else you have with your Android phone that comes right out of the box, you might have to agree to it, something called Google Now. That's a Google search, but a little smarter. It gives you lots of contextual info based on where you are, what you're doing. It will even pull information, if you let it, from your Gmail and your Google searches and try to give you relevant information based on that. Folders work exactly like they do on the iPhone. You drag an app on top of each other, you form a folder. Notification shade, if you get like a news alert or an email or something and you don't interact with it right away, you can find it by pulling down the top of your screen. You probably get some quick controls to turn on things like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your screen rotation. But below that, you'll see all of your notifications. So, some troubleshooting for your Android phone. Your phone is slow after opening a bunch of apps. Touch your multitasking button, swipe your apps to close. You can also do a reset, hold the power button until prompted to turn off. Some of your phones might have an option instead of turn off to restart. Use that if you think it'll be useful. If your phone is unresponsive, reset it just like with an iPhone. How you do this will probably be dependent on your phone. If your phone is using too much data, on Android it's a little different than iPhone. Go to your settings app, data usage, then find which apps are using the most data. It will tell you which ones are. And you can either get rid of that app or disable background refresh, which is apps that can do things while they're not open. And again, like iPhone, I link to more troubleshooting that you might encounter. And if you have specific questions, wait until we break off into groups, which is coming. And we'll try to address those. Some more resources you might be interested in. If you have an iPhone, go to the website called iMore. They have a lot of how-to instructions on how to do lots of things, and they're constantly updating as Apple introduces new features. It's also useful if you have a Mac or an iPad. Android Central is a good site for Android owners. They do a lot of the same things, and they deep dive into a lot of different phones. CNET, more consumer technology, but they do a lot of phone how-tos. And Google and YouTube are your friends. Search there, find instructions, find videos. It will show you how to do pretty much anything you can with your phone. So that's the long and short of the presentation. Just to show of hands, how many iPhone owners do we have? Okay. And Android owners? All right. Okay. So, I'm going to ask the Android owners to move over to that side, we've got some extra chairs for you over there. If you have an iPhone, come on over to this side.
You said we should turn our background app refresh off.
If you've got an app that's using a lot of data,
Which side for iPhones did you want? Over here?
This side.
Okay.